If you've ever stared at a bill you couldn't pay and felt your chest get tight, like something terrible was about to happen but you didn't know what, this video is the answer to that feeling. I remember that exact moment. $87,000 in debt, sitting in my car, doing math I didn't want to do. Here's what nobody tells you. The fear of the unknown is almost always worse than the reality. Not because the reality is fun, it's not, but because it's predictable. There's a timeline, there are rules. There are things they can do and things they absolutely cannot do. And when you understand that timeline, you stop panicking and start planning. So let's go through the whole thing. What actually happens when you stop paying, from day 1 to year 7? No drama, no lectures, just the facts you need to make a real decision. Before we get into the timeline, we've got to kill 3 horror myths that make people panic and do dumb stuff. I did. It's like I tried to speed run bad decisions. Myth number 1, debt prison. Not a thing for regular consumer debt. Owing on a credit card is not a crime. Debtors' prisons were abolished in 1833. If a collector hints at jail or tries to scare you like that, that's not motivation. That's illegal under federal law. Myth number 2, they'll tell your boss. No, they're not allowed to discuss your debt with third parties. At most, they can contact your workplace basically to find you, and even that is limited. No details, no gossip, no, hey, your employee is broke. Myth number 3, they'll shame you publicly. No social media, no calling your family to embarrass you, none of that. And here's the real killer. It's usually not the phone call. It's the mail you ignore and the deadlines you miss. Most people don't lose because the collector had a strong case. They lose because they froze. The goal here is to calm your nervous system down so you can think and actually win the math. Here's the boring part nobody tells you. Once you miss a payment, the escalation is basically a script. Days 1 to 29, you get hit with a late fee fast. Think up to about $30 for the first one and up to 41 for the next ones. Interest keeps running the whole time. And usually, in that first month, they haven't even reported it to the credit bureaus yet. At 30 days late, that's typically the first report. And your score can drop 60 to 110 points. If you had a good score, yeah, you can see a 90 to 110 point faceplant. At 60 days, the penalty APR can kick in. On cards, it's often up to 29.99%. Now your balance grows like it's got a job. Score damage can be 80 to 150 points. At 90 days, they can close the account and the score hit can be 100 plus. Also, good luck with balance transfers or refinancing. And between 120 and 180 days, you'll hear charge off. That is not forgiveness. It's an accounting move they're required to do around day 180. Charge off sounds like it's gone. It's really the starting gun for what comes next. And yeah, I used to think after 90 days, okay, it can't get much worse. Then, the 29.99% penalty APR showed up, and I watched the balance grow faster than my paycheck. Okay, so once you hit charge-off, the story often changes because the who changes. There are 3 characters in this little drama. 1, the original creditor. That's the bank you actually borrowed from. 2, a debt collector who's just hired to collect for them. They don't own it, they're basically working the phones. And 3, a debt buyer. That's a company that actually buys your debt and now owns it. Here's the eye-opener. These debts get sold for pennies. I'm not exaggerating. Often 1 to 10 cents on the dollar. A lot of the time it's under 5 cents. And really old stuff can trade for less than a penny. That's why settlements even exist, because their math is different than your original bank's. And your rights can change too. Rules like the FDCPA and Regulation F usually hit third-party collectors, not automatically the original bank. So who's calling matters. From here on out, you need paper discipline. Who is this? What account number? What amount? What status? Otherwise, you're negotiating in the fog. Now you know who's calling and why. Next, what they're allowed to do, and the one move that forces them out of bluff mode and into proof mode. Once a third-party collector is involved, there are actual rules, like real "you can't do that" rules. Under the FDCPA and Regulation F, they can't call you before 8 a.m. or after 9 p.m. And they can't just spam your phone forever. It's basically 7 calls in 7 days per debt. And if you actually talk to them, they're supposed to back off for 7 days. Even missed calls count. Work is another one. If they call you at your job and you tell them personal calls aren't allowed here, they have to stop. They also can't tell your employer what this is about. I had collectors calling me at work in a big open office, coworkers 2 feet away, and I didn't know one sentence would have ended it. Took me months to learn that. Now the big cheat code, debt validation. They have to send basic info within 5 days, and you have 30 days to dispute it in writing. When you do, they have to pause collection until they verify. Hey, if this kind of stuff helps, hit like so it reaches people who need it, and subscribe if you want more no-guru, real-life money math. Alright, one more stat. About 1 in 4 people contacted by collectors say they felt threatened. That's not an accident. Don't debate on the phone. Dispute in writing. That's the move. Alright, let's talk about the part nobody wants to think about. Getting sued. Does every unpaid credit card end up in court? No. But it's also not some 1 in a million thing. Roughly about 1 out of 7 credit card debts end up with a lawsuit. That's around 14.5%. Not always, but not never either. And there's no magic minimum balance where you're safe. Under about $2,000, it's less likely. But once you're in that $1,000 to $5,000 range, it starts looking pretty realistic, because the math works for them. Here's why collectors win so much. Default judgments. Over 70% of debt collection cases end with the collector winning because the person never responds or never shows up. Not because the collector had some killer argument, because nobody fought. And most people aren't walking in with a lawyer. Fewer than 10% are represented. This is the part that messes with my head. You can lose with zero money changing hands, just because you missed a deadline. That's not a money problem, that's a calendar problem. Phone calls are noise. Court mail is consequence. Alright, so let's say the worst case thing happens. They sue, and they win, and there's a judgment. Now the question becomes, what can they actually take? First, wage garnishment. Under federal rules, it's capped at the lesser of 25% of your disposable income, meaning what's left after required taxes, or whatever you make above 30 times the federal minimum wage. With $7.25 an hour, that means if you make under $217.50 a week, they can't garnish wages at all under the federal formula. And here's the twist. Some states flat out don't allow wage garnishment for regular consumer debt. Texas, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, South Carolina. That doesn't mean you're untouchable. It just means they'll try other tools, like a bank levy. That one can be nasty because there's no automatic 25% cap. If they can hit your account, they can potentially take up to the full judgment amount. Some income is protected: Social Security, SSI, VA, disability. If it's direct deposited, the bank generally has to leave you 2 months' worth accessible. And then there's a judgment lien, basically a legal anchor on your house, often around 10 years. You don't feel it daily, but you feel it when you sell or refinance. I remember checking my bank account every morning, paranoid it'd be wiped clean. That fear made me dumber, not smarter. Facts beat panic. This is where people get wrecked. There are 2 different clocks, and almost everyone mixes them up. Clock number 1 is the statute of limitations. That's how long they're allowed to sue you. Depending on your state, it can be anywhere from about 3 to 10 years. California is 4, Florida is 5. Rhode Island and Iowa can be 10. And it usually starts from your last payment or last real activity on the account, not the charge-off date. Clock number 2 is credit reporting. That's the 7-year credit report clock, and it starts from the first missed payment that led to the charge-off or collections. And no, selling the debt to a new collector does not restart that 7 years, period. Here's the expensive trap. In a lot of states, if you make a tiny good faith payment, or you say, yeah, I owe it, you can restart the lawsuit clock. That's zombie debt. Texas is one of the exceptions where that restart is basically not allowed. So yeah, your debt can vanish from your credit report and still be legally suable. Or it can be too old to sue on, but still sitting on your report. I'm from Ohio, and I had to look ours up too, 6 years. Didn't know that until I had to. Drop a comment with your state, and if you've dealt with zombie debt, tell me what happened. I actually read these, and people learn a lot from each other here. So here's what you do with this whole timeline. 5 decisions. Not, I hope it works out. Hope is not a strategy, it's a mood. 1. Decide the game you're playing. Either you're paying normally, negotiating, defending yourself, or getting organized help. Pick one lane, because drifting is how you get run over. 2. Systematize communication. Get out of phone ping pong. Do it in writing. Keep a folder. Screenshot. Save letters. Track dates. Use validation and disputes when it makes sense. You're not being dramatic, you're being documenty. 3. Shift priorities. Annoying calls are noise. Court mail and deadlines are consequences. Your calendar beats your courage here. 4. If you're going to negotiate, your leverage usually shows up after charge-off, especially with a debt buyer. Settlements of 30 to 50% less can happen, but don't pay out of reflex. Check the statute of limitations first so you don't accidentally restart the lawsuit clock. 5. Take 30 seconds today and Google this followed by your state. Statute of limitations, credit card debt. And if you're worried about paychecks, add wage garnishment, consumer debt. And yeah, most success stories aren't luck. It's the moment you stop being afraid of the mailbox. That was my turning point. I used to avoid it like an ex. Sarah still roasts me for it. But hey, the mailbox and I are cool now. Control is information plus a system.